The escape pod jettisoned with a shudder, a final, violent cough from the dying freighter. Inside, the man known as Eli clutched the crash webbing, his world reduced to the scream of atmospheric entry and the glow of an alien sun through the viewing port. He was an engineer, a fixer of broken things. His ship had been broken by pirates. Now, he was falling into the unknown. The planet was a tapestry of vibrant purples and deep blues. Giant, willow-like trees with silver leaves swayed in a lavender-toned wind. The pod carved a scar of blackened earth through a field of crystalline flowers before coming to a rest, half submerged in a shallow, iridescent stream. Eli emerged, coughing, his standard-issue environment suit scanning the air. It was breathable, rich with unfamiliar pollens. The silence was profound, broken only by the chime of glass-like leaves touching. He was utterly, completely alone. He lasted 3 days. He foraged for edible-looking fungi, drank from the sparkling streams, and tried to signal for help. On the 4th day, the hunters found him. They were like living shadows, tall and slender, with chitinous plates of deepest indigo covering their bodies. Their faces were elegant, insectoid, with large, multifaceted eyes that held no malice, only a cold, assessing purpose. They moved with a silent, terrifying grace. Eli ran. It was futile. A net of glowing filaments settled over him, sapping the strength from his limbs. He was carried, suspended, through the forest until they reached a colossal, organic structure. It was a hive, grown from the very planet, a cathedral of living resin and shimmering. Secreted stone, he was taken deep within, past chambers pulsing with soft light, past thousands of the chitinous beings who worked in perfect, silent harmony. Finally, he was brought to the heart. The chamber was vast, dominated by a raised dais. And there she rested, the queen. She was magnitudes larger than her kin, a being of awe and terrible beauty. Her carapace was not simple indigo, but a shifting nebula of midnight blue, deep violet, and specks of gold. She reclined on a bed of soft, luminous moss, her multiple eyes half-lidded, but her awareness filled the room like a physical pressure. This was her world, and he was an anomaly within it. The hunters deposited him before the dais and retreated. Eli struggled to his knees, meeting the gaze of the colossal being. He expected death. He expected to be consumed, or dissected, or simply discarded. Her voice did not come from a mouth. It resonated directly in his mind, a symphony of feelings and impressions, translated by some latent telepathic field into concepts he could grasp. It was the sound of a hive's hum, the growth of a tree, the chill of deep space. You are broken. Your shell is empty. You sing a song of silence. Eli, shaking, understood. His ship was gone. His people were light years away. He was, in every way that mattered to a hive creature, a broken thing, isolated and alone. I am. Stranded, he said aloud, his voice a rough scrape in the quiet chamber. Stranded, a thing separated from its whole. The queen's head tilted. A ripple of curiosity, sharp and clinical, washed over him. Your song is simple, lonely. It interests. He was not killed. Instead, he was placed in a nearby alcove, a cell with a view of the throne. He became a living exhibit, a curiosity for the queen. At first, he sat in despair. Then the engineer in him awoke. He watched the workers, the drones, the caretakers. He saw how they communicated with subtle pheromonal releases and clicks, how they repaired the hive's bioluminescent lighting with secreted resin, how they tended the fungal gardens that fed the colony. One day, a caretaker struggled with a clogged nutrient vein leading to a larval chamber. The organic tube was swollen, pulsing weakly. The drone emitted distressed clicks. On impulse, Eli approached. He mimed, he pointed, using a piece of discarded, hardened resin. He carefully applied pressure at a specific point upstream, then massaged the blockage. With a soft gurgle, the nutrient flow resumed. The caretaker stared, then emitted a soft, chiming click of approval. It was a small thing. The queen observed everything. Days turned into weeks. Eli moved from prisoner to oddity to something else. He fixed a faulty vibration that regulated a chamber's temperature. He devised a simple pulley system using fibrous vines to help workers move heavy harvests of crystal fruit. He did not command. He did not demand. He simply saw problems and quietly, humbly, offered solutions. The queen's curiosity deepened into something more complex. She began to call him to the dais, not just to watch, but to listen. She would share impressions of the hive's health, a faint unease in a far-off gallery, a sluggishness in the eastern fungal tracts. And Eli, the engineer, would listen, ask simple questions, and then go look. He found an invasive root compromising a structural wall. He discovered a mineral imbalance in the water feeding the gardens. He fixed them. His mind, a solitary, creative thing, became a unique tool for the hive. They had perfect unity, but they lacked the outsider's perspective. He saw what they, bound by instinct and consensus, could not. He was not of the hive, but he was for the hive. One evening, as the central lumen globes dimmed to a nocturnal glow, the queen's mind voice came, softer than ever. You mend the broken. You hear the silent song of straying. You are a strange harmony in our chorus. Eli, sitting on the edge of the dais, looked up at her. You gave me a place, a purpose. I just want to help. Purpose. The concept carried a weight of profound significance. You have no song of your own to return to. Will you sing ours? It was not a question of allegiance. It was an invitation to belong. Eli felt not the loss of his old life, but the potential of this one. He nodded. I will. A profound shift occurred. The hive's attitude changed from tolerance to acceptance. Drones would bring him choice food. Caretakers would seek his opinion. He was given more freedom, allowed to wander certain tiers, always with a gentle, unspoken understanding that he was now under the queen's direct protection. He was her unique advisor, her solitary knight in a civilization that had no need for knights. Then the crisis came. It began as a psychic tremor, a wave of distress so sharp it made Eli gasp. From the queen came a surge of pain, not physical, but existential. The hive's song, usually a low, contented hum, became a discordant wail. A scout phalanx had returned, decimated. They brought with them a psychic contagion, a silent, mindless hunger that attacked the hive's gestalt consciousness itself. It was a psychic rust, a cognitive decay that spread through the telepathic link, causing drones to freeze, workers to attack one another, and the hive's careful rhythms to falter. The queen, the nexus of it all, was under direct assault. Her thoughts were becoming clouded, her commands muddied. The hive was dying from the inside. Panic, a foreign concept to the hive, began to flicker at the edges of their unity. Eli felt it as a rising nausea. He rushed to the throne chamber. The queen was shuddering, her glorious colors dimmed. Her eyes saw him, but the connection was fraying. The song is unraveling. The noise, it eats. Eli stood amidst the chaos. He was utterly immune. The psychic plague required a hive mind to spread, a network to corrupt. He was an island. His solitary, silent mind was the one thing the contagion could not touch. In his isolation lay their only hope. He did not hesitate. He climbed the dais and placed his hands on the queen's great carapace. It was warm, vibrating with distress. He closed his eyes, shutting out the chaos. Listen to me, he said, his voice steady, a rock in a psychic storm. Do not listen to the noise. Listen only to my voice. Follow my breath. He began to breathe, deep, measured, engineer's breaths. In, out. He spoke of simple things. He described the crystal flowers by the stream where he landed. He explained the torque settings on a freighter's plasma conduit. He hummed an old, half-remembered lullaby. He poured the quiet, linear, singular narrative of his human mind into the maelstrom of her collapsing consciousness. He became a firewall. The chaotic signal of the plague crashed against the unwavering, solitary signal of his presence. He gave her a focal point, a single clear note in the cacophony. Slowly, painfully, he felt her mind begin to anchor itself to his. She latched onto the rhythm of his breath, the cadence of his words, the solid, non-telepathic reality of him for hours. He stood there, his voice growing hoarse, his body trembling with exhaustion, but he did not stop. He rebuilt her sanity, piece by piece, using the blueprint of his own. He became her world, and in doing so, he saved hers. The plague, deprived of its main conduit, receded and burned itself out in the lesser nodes of the hive. The discord faded. The hive's song returned, tentative but pure. The queen's eyes cleared. The nebula of her carapace blazed with new, brilliant light. She looked down at the small, exhausted man who still leaned against her, his forehead resting on her chitin, his whispered words now just a dry croak. The emotion that flooded from her was not gratitude. It was something deeper, more fundamental. It was recognition. It was completion. He had not just saved her. He had connected with her in a way no hive being ever could, through choice, through sacrifice, through a singular will offered freely. He had performed the ultimate act of communion for a hive creature. He had shared his solitude, and in doing so, made her whole. The entire hive witnessed it. They felt the shift. They felt their queen's consciousness, once besieged, now intertwined with this strange, solid being's quiet frequency. Her mind voice, when it came, was for him alone, and it carried the weight of a D.